Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. The rain had just started to fall that evening, the kind that turns city lights into blurry streaks on the pavement. Inside a luxury real estate office on the corner of Grant Avenue, everything looked calm, polished, and expensive. Marble floors, glass walls, framed awards lining the walls like trophies. This was the kingdom of Victor Langford, a self-made millionaire known for two things: his ruthless business instincts and his absolute belief that money made him untouchable. Victor sat behind his massive desk, scrolling through his phone, barely listening as his assistant rambled on about tomorrow's meetings. He was in a good mood. One of his biggest deals was about to close, and he was already planning the celebration. In his world, things always went his way. That's when the glass door opened. A young man stepped inside. Shaking rain from his jacket, he looked ordinary. No designer suit, no flashy watch, just clean shoes, a simple shirt, and calm eyes that scanned the room without intimidation. He walked to the reception desk and spoke softly to the assistant. "I'm here to see Mr. Langford." The assistant glanced at him, then at Victor, then back at the man. "Do you have an appointment?" "No," the man replied calmly, "but he'll want to see me." Victor looked up, irritated. He hated interruptions, especially from people who didn't look important. He waved his hand dismissively. "If he's not on the list, tell him to come back another time." The man heard this and smiled slightly, not offended, not angry, just patient. He walked forward anyway, stopping a few feet from Victor's desk. "Sir," the man said politely, "I believe this concerns you directly." Victor leaned back in his chair, eyes narrowing as he finally studied him. "And who exactly are you supposed to be?" The man took a breath. "My name is Daniel Krotz." Victor burst out laughing, not a chuckle, not a polite laugh. A loud, mocking laugh that echoed through the office. "Daniel Cross. And what do you want, Mr. Cross?" "A job, an autograph." "Let me guess you've got a brilliant idea that's going to make us both rich." Daniel remained calm. "Actually, sir, I'm the new owner of this company." For a moment, the room went silent. Then Victor laughed even harder. The assistant looked frozen, unsure whether to smile or run. Victor wiped a tear from his eye. "That's a good one. Really, you should do stand-up comedy. This company is worth tens of millions. I built it from nothing. And you walk in here soaked from the rain and tell me you're the owner." Daniel nodded. "Yes, sir." Victor leaned forward, his tone suddenly sharp. "Listen carefully. People like you don't own companies like this. People like me do. Now, if you don't mind, I have real business to attend to." Daniel reached into his jacket. Victor smirked. "Oh, what's that?" "A fake contract printed at home." Daniel slowly placed a folder on the desk. "Before you call security," Daniel said calmly, "I suggest you read what's inside." Victor hesitated, not because he was scared but because something about Daniel's confidence felt different. Still, he scoffed and flipped open the folder. The first page made his smile fade. The second made his jaw tighten. By the third page, his hands were shaking. At the bottom of the final document was a signature Victor knew very well. His father's. Victor's face went pale. This is impossible." Daniel spoke softly. "Your father sold his controlling shares 6 months ago." "That's a lie," Victor snapped. "He would never sell to someone like you." "He didn't sell to me," Daniel replied. "He sold to the trust." Victor looked up sharply. "What trust?" Daniel met his eyes. "The Langford family trust." The room felt suddenly smaller. "My father controls that trust," Victor said. "I'm the sole beneficiary." Daniel shook his head. "You were—" "Until last month." Victor slammed his hand on the desk. "This is a scam." Daniel calmly pulled out another document. "Your father changed the terms after his stroke. You weren't present when it happened." Victor froze. "You see," Daniel continued, "your father didn't like the way you treated people, employees, partners, even him. He wanted the company protected from you." The assistant gasped quietly. Victor's voice dropped. "So what is this? Some kind of test?" "No," Daniel said. "It's a transfer of authority." Victor stared at the signature again. He knew it was real. The curves, the pressure marks, he'd seen it his whole life. "You're lying," Victor whispered. "Why would he give it to you?" Daniel took a deep breath. "Because I was the one who stayed." Victor looked up slowly. "When everyone else walked away after his stroke, I didn't." Memories flashed in Victor's mind. He remembered the hospital visits he skipped, the calls he ignored, the deals he prioritized over family. Daniel continued. "I was the volunteer who read to him, the one who listened when he couldn't speak properly. He told me everything. About the company, about his regrets." Victor clenched his fists. "You manipulated him." Daniel's eyes hardened for the first time. "No, I respected him." Silence hung heavy in the room. "So, what now?" Victor asked bitterly. "You fire me? Humiliate me?" Daniel shook his head. "No." Victor looked confused. "I'm not here for revenge," Daniel said. "I'm here for responsibility." Victor laughed weakly. "You think you can run this company?" "I already am," Daniel replied. He slid another paper forward. "Effective immediately. Your role has been changed to consultant. Optional." Victor stared at it, his world collapsing piece by piece. You can stay, Daniel said. Help fix what's broken. Or, you can leave with your severance. Victor's voice cracked. You're enjoying this? Daniel shook his head again. I wish it didn't have to be this way. Victor stood up slowly. You don't belong here. Daniel met his gaze. Neither did I, until your father showed me what leadership really means. Victor walked to the window, staring out at the rain-soaked city. For the first time in his life, money didn't feel like armor. It felt heavy. Useless, you know, Victor said quietly. I always thought power meant control. Daniel replied softly. It means care. Days passed. Word spread quickly through the company. Employees whispered in hallways. Some were shocked, some relieved. Daniel didn't make grand speeches. He didn't fire people recklessly. He listened. He learned names. He fixed policies Victor had ignored. Victor watched from the sidelines. Angry, ashamed, confused. One afternoon, Daniel found Victor alone in the conference room, staring at old photos of the company's early days. You were happy once, Daniel said gently. Victor scoffed. Back when I had nothing. Daniel sat across from him. Your father said the same thing. Victor swallowed hard. I don't know how to do this, Victor admitted quietly. Daniel nodded. Neither did I at first. Victor looked up. Why give me a chance? Daniel smiled faintly. Because your father believed you could change. Weeks turned into months. Victor started staying late, listening more, apologizing when he was wrong. It didn't happen overnight, but people noticed. One evening, Victor walked into Daniel's office and placed a folder on the desk. I've been thinking, Victor said, about the way I laughed at you. Daniel looked up. I was wrong, Victor said, about a lot of things. Daniel stood and extended his hand. Victor hesitated, then shook it. Outside, the city lights glowed again, clear and steady, no longer blurred by rain. And for the first time, Victor understood something he never had before. A signature can change ownership, but humility, that's what changes a person. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it with someone who needs to hear it today.